What's going on, guys? Welcome to Everything Always. My name's Michael Roman, aka Allfires. Now, if you missed our video from last night, it was revealed that Avengers Doomsday is actually already back in filming. Call it reshoots or additional principal photography. They are hard at work on making more of the movie. Now, that said, one of the actresses that was noticed on set confirmed that Monica Rambeau is now filming scenes. But this morning, and coming from the same Twitter scoopster and industry insider source, we got an expanded description of the scene, exactly who's involved, and it teases a mystery X-Men character. We're going to break down exactly what he says, then try to speculate and annotate just a little bit as to what could be going on in the scene. We also have to talk about the timeline here, because if this is set correctly for when he said it is, it's a little curious as to what's been happening in the meantime. If anything, we'll explain. We're breaking it all down, these latest Avengers Doomsday X-Men scene reveals, but first, if you could grab the subscribe button. Thanks to everyone who's been subbing lately and helped grow the channel. You guys are amazing. We are growing again at an insane rate. If you haven't already, whether this is your first time finding us or you've been rocking with the channel for a while, I would just kindly invite you to hit the sub button. It's the #1 thing you can do to support us. Plus, it'll enter you for the giveaways. Just be a sub and leave a comment if you want. Stick around at the end of the video. We get into all the giveaway stuff again there. Okay, so the follow-up scoop is coming from the same source as last night's initial reveal. That's the Twitter scoopster, James Mack. You guys can follow him over on Twitter under the handle JamesMackWL. He went a step further in revealing a scene that's coming up that they're about to film for Avengers Doomsday, in which he indicated Tiana Paris, Lashana Lynch, Kelsey Grammer, Patrick Stewart, and another X-Men actor in a surprise and special appearance will film the continuation of that post-credits scene in the next couple of weeks, with a gif of Beast inside the lab referring to the post-credits scene from the Marvels. So obviously, if this is true, it presents two questions. Number one, who's the mystery X-Men character? We'll get into that first. And number two, what exactly is the timeline on that Marvel's post-credit scene? Of course, the 828 transpiring during the Fantastic Four could have happened whenever, but it seems to line up with the current MCU timeline that we see their ship approaching in the Thunderbolts post-credit scene. But the Marvel's post-credit scene should have been set quite a while ago. We'll get into the timeline stuff in a second. First, let's focus on the easy part of this, the mystery X-Men character. Now, first up, I want to say two things. Number one, keep in mind that Captain Marvel as binary is a part of that X-Men squad, because we saw that in the post-credit scene, which means there are any number of different X-Men, Avengers, superheroes, variants floating around in this new X-Men timeline. And while we focus on the returning Fox X-Men that are a part of it, I think we're kind of missing the obvious thing here, is that there could be a Captain America, a Tony Stark in that timeline. And it's really interesting to say, hey, there's this mystery X-Men character, but without letting our imagination run too wild, because I think there will be some surprises along the way, he makes sure to say a surprise X-Men cameo appearance. I think it's safe. We're warranted in assuming that it's another returning old school X-Men character. Now, as we remarked, and for the first round of cast announcements, there were reports from industry insiders that Marvel simply hadn't had the time to work out all the contracts, and that's why some characters you might have expected to see among them, say like Halle Berry Storm, were omitted from that first round of announcements. And I think, quite honestly, if we want the classic matchup in this lineup for the X-Men to go up against our Avengers in the way that we're assuming, Storm to me is the most obvious character. And yes, I know what you're going to say. Right now, we don't have a Jean Grey, we don't have a Rogue, we don't have an Iceman. And look, I hear you. Storm wasn't added till a little bit later for the X-Men in the comics, but just given the landscape of what we know about who they're bringing back and why, I have to assume that this mystery character is Halle Berry Storm. I'm sticking by it. Now, if it turns out to be one of the other characters or actors, say like Anna Paquin's Rogue, that wouldn't be totally surprising, but man, what a missed opportunity it's going to be not to have Storm go up against Thor, not to have Storm a part of the X-Men that are going up against the Avengers, and then eventually Doctor Doom. Quick little asterisk by this, I think there is a real opportunity for characters that don't show up in Doomsday to be a part of Secret Wars, because I think the ultimatum, pun totally intended, over at Marvel Studios, and for that final scene in Secret Wars, call it Portals #2, will be to have anybody they can, every superhero they can possibly cram into that thing, to be a part of that final battle and really make good on what Secret Wars is supposed to be. In the meantime, my vote is Halle Berry Storm, and we'll see if there's a second round of casting announcements via another chair stunt to confirm this. Now, next up on the list is the order of things, literally, what's going on with extending the post-credit scene for the Marvels? Let me put it this way. The Marvels took place in the MCU timeline in 2026, and since then, Captain America Brave New World took place in late 2026, early 2027, and the Thunderbolts took place in 2027. Again, we can't really place where the 828 happenings were on their timeline versus the MCU because they're in different decades, but since the Fantastic Four showed up in our timeline now, you can assume that at least whatever's happened by the end of that and where they are now, see if there's been a 4 or 5 year gap, they're lined up, at least in the current timeline, like the Fox X-Men should and would be. But it's been over a year in the MCU since Monica ended up in the X-Men mansion. That's why I think it's super curious to me that we would be seeing an extension of the post-credit scene via this report, because it feels like all of that should have happened already. Maybe we should be picking up with the X-Men a little bit later in the piece. I've also mentioned this sort of creates a problem of why in the world Captain Marvel didn't go to her little contingency of Avengers, which includes Bruce Banner and Wong. Wong, having America Chavez under his tutelage, could have and should have been able to help assist Captain Marvel and Nick Fury in getting Monica back from the X-Men timeline. That is, unless narratively they create some reason they weren't able to, like they don't know what timeline Monica went to, or they're not able to locate it, or America Chavez can't use her powers because it's too dangerous. That kind of thing. In the meantime, what I think is super interesting is that ability to travel the multiverse seems reserved for only very specific variants and characters across the multiverse. Knowledge about the multiverse also seems rather reserved. Think about it. In the 616, we didn't really have anybody who knew anything about it until real recently. And if you go over to the X-Men timeline, which may be more advanced than ours given the looks of the lab, maybe right on par, they didn't have any knowledge of a multiverse either. And when we pick up with the Fantastic Four, Reed Richards seems to understand that there is a multiverse. He says it's basically proven and true, and then by the time we get to the end of the Thunderbolts, he's figured out how to travel it. So I think the whole multiverse traveling thing will be one of those sort of MacGuffin effects where there's going to be a lot of narrative things people want to do, like find Loki or go rescue Monica or travel back to the 828, but there's only going to be limited people who know how to do that, and Dr. Doom obviously is going to be trying to beat them to the punch. Still, the reason I bring this up is that, given the MCU timeline, Monica Rambeau has been a part of the 10,005, at least that's what we're calling the X-Men timeline here at the channel, for quite some time. And you would think if the X-Men knew how to travel the multiverse, or if they had figured it out in the 616, America Chavez skills notwithstanding, that they would have already gone and rescued her the same way they would have already had this conversation. So it feels a little weird to me, at least, to be going back in time in their timeline. And I know what some of you are thinking, well, maybe the timelines aren't synced as to when things are happening, but think about it. There should have been relativity as a force across the universe when we had our heroes on Titan tapping it millions of years apart where they wouldn't have been able to line everything up. So there's some things scientifically they just have to ignore, like relativity in space. And if there's not relativity in space because they've got to line the events up, then they can't have relativity across the multiverse where things are happening millions of years relative to another timeline, because then they wouldn't have anything happening at the same time. So this time jump to go back to the post-credit scene is again in real time. Hope I didn't lose some of you here at the end of the video, but you guys let me know all your thoughts down below as to what you think is going on and who you think this mystery X-Men character most likely is, and let's get into the giveaway stuff before I let you go. Alright, still giving away PS5s. The next one's Wonder Man. All you gotta do, be a sub, leave a comment. Because it's truly random, the more videos you comment on, the better chance you have of winning. All winners will be announced at the end of videos, the same way we're doing here. Make sure you hit the notification bell with all notifications turned on to keep up with the content. Of course, if you like today's video, I'd appreciate it if you hit the like button. Also, you can catch my band All Fires live in Tampa next month on November 15th. Tickets are cheap, only $15, and have started to sell, but they are extremely limited. So if you're planning on coming out, I am doing a casual meet and greet at 7:30 right when doors open. Love to meet you guys before the show. Come out, say hello, check out my band. It's a great time. I will see you there. Link in the description and the comments. In the meantime, thanks for checking out this channel. Find me on Instagram and Twitter at IamFires. Find me on all other platforms with original music under name All Fires. And I will see you in the next one.